Live on the YouTubes. Going live. Gonna do it live. Do it live.
Coincidence? I think not.
There you go.
Live as I keep fiddling with my settings, trying to make it so you don't sound like a Sesame Street puppet to me.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. Smash your headphones against the table a couple of times. They'll sound fine.
No, my headphones aren't the problem. They're good. They obey.
Sure they do.
They do. Generally the system that disobeys, not my headphones.
So, okay, I got to get out of here really quick. I want to go get my other 3 chickens.
Wow. What was that?
I said I want to get out of here really quick today. I got to go get my other 3 chickens.
Okay.
I got to call the other 3 baby chicks are ready for me to go pick up.
That's exciting. Are they going to be blue eggs or?
I have no idea what they've got. I have no idea what she hatched this time. I'll find out when I get there and pick them up. All I know is they're heritage birds. She's got a lot of different heritage birds on their farm.
Cool.
And many horses. Or ponies. I guess they're called ponies. Because they're full-grown horses, but they're full-grown horse, but they're pony horses. They're ponies.
Are they cranky ponies or are they not so cranky ponies?
Well, one of them was cranky last time I was there because it's pregnant. So it's cranky.
Yeah, but that's understandable.
I don't know about the others. The others look fine. Look like they were happy. Yeah, the baby chicks are growing fast, man.
Yeah, I was noticing that when you threw up the camera, or when you send me a video or something, it's like they grow faster than cats. I mean, I thought cats grew pretty fast.
Yeah, they're like the 3 I have now. They're only like 10 days old now, and actually they're 12 days old. And they're like double in size. So now they got to have 3 more babies in the pen with them. Hopefully they don't pick on them too much.
Oh, they'll figure it out. They always figure it out, right?
Yeah, they'll figure it out. I got to keep track of which ones are named which.
The only one I remember, honestly, is the one that the one that you named Lucy.
Which one was that? That's the one with the dot on its head, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, no, you also named the one with the thick stripe all the way down its back, just stripe.
Yeah, well, that's because it reminds me of Stripe from the Gremlins. Don't feed and water them after midnight.
Or food.
No food and water after midnight. Name tags.
Don't give them water at all is the rule. You don't give them water because otherwise that's bad. Don't get them wet and don't feed them after midnight.
That's it. Don't get them wet. Don't feed them after midnight. Stuart, or for Stu the chicken.
That works. See, personally, I'd probably just name all the chickens after either a song or something in a song, character.
Ankle bracelets. I want to get them. I want to get them the little dinosaur arms.
I'm looking forward to seeing dinosaur arms on your chicken.
Get the little T-Rex arms and put them on the chickens. Since chickens are actually an advanced dinosaur.
Well, it is believed that chickens used to be dinosaurs.
Well, no, it is. They're a semi-direct lineage to dinosaurs.
Therefore, they should wear the arms of pride.
Yes, put the arms on them, and then they can have little T-Rex arms.
I haven't been able to find any setting that makes it so you stop sounding like you're.
I have no control over what you're hearing because it's sounding okay on the YouTube, so not much I can do. All right, since we're running a little slow and it is time to prepare for show. Blow music.
Don't claim to know your story, don't even have how.
In search for glory, gold with them sacred rules of old, they went missing.
Down Highway 49, Devil's at the
Crossroads, sitting doing time.
Preacher man discovered, passed down from saint to sage, like a kind-hearted lover who's been lost on this stage.
Went missing.
Down Highway 49, Devil's
At the crossroads, sitting doing time.
Not saying they are the answer, not saying they're right or wrong. I ain't no Texan dancer, oh no.
Move it right along, went missing.
Down Highway 49, Devil's at the crossroads, sitting doing time. Junkie and the jigger just seen who done the crime. Captain pulled the trigger, guess who's doing time? They went missing. Down Highway 49, Devil's at the crossroads. Is he yours or is he mine?
Don't claim to know your story, don't even have my own. Yeah, I search for glory, gold with them sacred rules of old, went missing. Down Highway 49.
Devil's at the crossroads, sitting doing time. Devil's at a crossroads, Joker's doing fine. Sitting doing time.
There we have it. It is showtime. I think it's time to get this show on the road. So off we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for WordPress plugins A to Z, not Z.
Getting creative with WordPress plugins. It's episode 561, and we have plugins for plugin comparing, number notes, shortcodes, user using notes, no bad bots, Captionew, Captcha. Okay.
Captionew.
Captionew, Captcha, kind of friendly Captcha, and ClassicPress options, all coming up on WordPress plugins from A to Z.
WordPress. It's the most popular content management and website solution on the internet. And with over 80,000 plugins to choose from, how do you separate the junk from the gem? Join us for a weekly, unrehearsed conversation about the latest and greatest in WordPress plugins. This is WordPress plugins from A to Z.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever the hell you happen to be out there on the globe today. Coming to you direct from the Oasis deep in the heart of the Caption Valley. I'm John Overall, and with me is the ever lovely
Amber Overall.
And we have a great show for you today, and we came up with the most tongue-twisting names for plugins that could possibly be done, as you can tell by the intro. But as this is a value for value show, please, folks, give some value back to it. And before we get too far down the hole, don't forget to, hang around to the end of the show for the Q&A segment with Amber. Always entertaining. For those listening on a podcast, you will want to check out the YouTube version, which has, the before and the after show stream, and also the other half of the Q&A segment. With that being said, I guess I should.
Thank you for sharing, John. Now get down from that soapbox.
I'm not hearing the jingles today. Hopefully I gave that enough time.
Oh, yeah. You're not hearing the jingles today? Oh, wow. That sucks. It's definitely a setting that you're in then.
No jingles, no music, and you sound a bit like a puppet. But that's okay.
Yeah, well.
Nobody else is hearing the issues, so everybody else seems fine. So it's all good. Today is number 20 of 52 episodes for 2022. And I wanted to say hello and good day to all, and to all a grand day. Hopefully it's actually a little bit more sunny in other places than it is here. Honestly, I'm kind of feeling like I'm back in Seattle. It's been a long time since we've had rain like this, where it just doesn't stop all the way into May. Usually we've had at least a week worth of straight sunny days, but we're only getting partial sunny days right now. It's weird.
Yep.
Although a lot of rain is good for the fish, so that is something. Hopefully everyone out there is remembering to find some time to get outside, and it's time to spend with friends and family. Personally, I've got a D&D game going with some friends. It happens every other 2 weeks. It is definitely the highlight of that week whenever we have our D&D game. I've got the kids involved. I've got my friends involved. We all put our phones away. It's loads of fun. I think everyone should try to get something like that going. It definitely helps with the brain meats. May you, all my fine, friendly listeners, find a way to spend time humanizing with those you like as well.
Okay. Well, let's move into news.
Please, can everybody be quiet? Please be quiet. Shut up!
Can you give me a sign or something when the
And now
news
the WordPress
jingle
news
is up?
continue.
Oh, the jingle's over now.
Okay.
As you stomped all over it. That's all right. It's good with it.
Did I stomp all over it? Oh, I wasn't sure. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, can you share your screen with me?
Maybe.
Please. The first thing we have is the WordPress vulnerability report from May 11th, 2022. There's a few this week to look at for the no-known fix, and a lot on the patch list as well, so make sure that you do check out the already patched list too. A list of ones that I think people are more likely to recognize from the no-known fix list are the Amazon link, IMDb infobox, Quotes Llama, Bannerman, Easy FAQ with expanding text. I didn't name them all, there's a lot more there, but those might be the most recognizable ones. So do be sure to go and check those out. Next up, WP Site Sync shuts down. Commercial extensions are now available on GitHub.
This is a bummer because we actually use this plugin.
Yeah, well, I mean, what they're saying is that they are shutting down WP Site Sync, but they aren't discontinuing anything else that they're doing, is my understanding. They don't have time for it, I guess, because I mean it's been 9 months since their last update. It's been over a year since their last release.
Yeah.
So they're just no longer going to do support for it, but you can go to GitHub to get the commercial extensions. So worth looking at.
Let's hope it continues working. The plugin continues working for a while. So this is the second time they've shut this plugin down.
Is it?
Yeah, it happened. Like, I've been using this plugin for a few years now, and there was a period of time where it just ceased to function. No matter what you did, it just didn't function anymore, and it stayed idle for like almost 2 years, and then it came back. So it's not the first time this one's gone down, but now that I recall it. But it is a great plugin. It works very well if you have two websites with similar content, or if you're doing a development site and you want to push content from your development site to your live site. It's a wonderful plugin for that, because all it does is push the content. It doesn't have to push everything else. Mm-hmm. We use it for syncing two different websites, where the podcast is actually hosted at johnoverall.com and where we actually publish it over at WP Plugins. Mm-hmm. So, and of course, the reason I never changed the where the podcast is hosted is because, I've been doing the show for 13 years?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's 13 years. I've been doing this show as long as the youngest one has been alive. So he turns 13 this summer, so... So, yeah, and so it's really hard to change the URL of a podcast once it gets established, because if you change it, you lose a lot of subscriptions. I learned that the hard way. I cost myself half my audience once because iTunes duplicated my listing, and I decided to kill one of them, and I lost half my audience.
That sucks.
Yeah, I was rather bummed once I did. I should have just left it alone. Sometimes once something happens on the internet, you just gotta leave it.
Yeah.
All right. Enough of that.
Next up is WordPress community attributes declining market share to performance issues, increased complexity, and the lagging full site editing project. I kind of agree with this, because WordPress does seem like it's getting a wee bit more complex with their full site thing. I mean, old hands are basically having to start at the beginning again to learn the new full site editing tools in a whole new way. Mm-hmm. And this is a topic of discussion in the WordPress community across all the various platforms. Discussion is a good thing. I'm not sure if it's just because of that the site thing is lagging, but places like Wix are actually starting to pick up again. Yep.
Well, I can see that. It's kind of WordPress is shooting itself in the foot. They had the easiest platform in the world to use, and they decided that it wasn't complex enough. And so they decided to complex it up, and you got all these developers out there that were really quite content with everything, and now, at a certain point in your career, you get tired of the learning curve. And that's what's happened is a lot of them are, 10, 12-year-old developers, not age, but they've been doing it for 10 and 12 years, and now they got to relearn the entire system, which is basically where I'm at with it. I'm having to relearn a lot of stuff that I used to know without thinking twice. And it's like, yeah, screw it. If I got to relearn something, well, I hear this platform over here is pretty interesting. If I got to learn something new, let's go check that one out. It turns out, hey, this one works pretty well. And that's what's going to happen to them eventually. They're gonna shoot themselves. They'll never die completely because they've captured too much of the market. But they may fall back. They may fall back to 20-25%.
They just might if they keep on going. I mean, also the lagging of full site editing that is mentioned here. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure. I thought that this was meant to be like a long-term project, not meant to be something that was already supposed to be done.
I don't think that's going to be the thing, because there's been full site editing for the most part. If you added in a proper theme or a page builder, you had full site editing.
Yeah.
So, by making full site editing, as WordPress itself, they kill off an industry, a component of the industry built around WordPress. And the thing is it's still something new that has to be learned. They're trying to compete with Wix. They're trying to compete with Shopify. They're trying to compete with Squarespace. Joomla and Drupal have never been competition for WordPress. It's been the Wix and Shopify and Squarespace, because Wix, Shopify, and Squarespace have done this. The difference is if you use WordPress, you get to own your data. And that was the big selling point of WordPress for a long time is you own your data. Your data is always yours. And as people on Wix and other things learn, you might technically own your data, but you can't take it anywhere else, especially Wix. If you try to extract your data from Wix to go to another platform, you may as well go yank your hair out one hair at a time. It's pretty much how it works. I haven't done a Wix move in years, but the last time I did a Wix move, it was like it cost a client a fortune. There's ways to get the data, get some of the data out, but you can never get all of it, and it's just really a pain. But yeah, so much for that. That's what WordPress is doing. They'll see it in a few more years. It'll manifest in a few more years. It'll take a few more years before people get totally fed up.
Yeah, it will. I mean, they've dropped over the past months of this year so far, but they're also starting to come back up. So I think it's going to be one of those waves where they slowly go down.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we have Ulysses. Update WordPress.
Ulysses, the travels of Ulysses. It's a Greek myth.
Yes, I know. I've never been able to pronounce it right.
Okay, Ulysses.
So they have updated WordPress publishing so that they can use WP REST API. So if you use the writing app for Mac, iPad, and iPhone, their newest release of version 26 has made it possible to write and publish to WordPress. It's added support for more blogs and has simplified the process of setting them up using the WordPress REST API.
Cool.
Great news for those who use Apple and WordPress together.
Cool. For those
And this article here will go through and give you the basics on how to use the app.
Well, that'll be useful for those that use Apple.
Next is Gutenberg 13.2 adds persistent user preferences and a visualizer for margin and padding controls. So 13.
Keep going.
13.2 was released on May 12th, though a lot of the community is currently gearing up for the WordPress 6.0 release coming in a couple of weeks. Gutenberg 13.2 has squashed a bunch of bugs and made some improvements like persistent user preference thing. And they've added visual updates for block spacing, and the post comments form block will absolutely make it easier to complete the designs. You actually get to see the padding as you do it rather than having to refresh.
Yeah, well.
So
the one useful thing I can see there in it is if they're going to keep persistent user preferences, and hopefully they incorporate that into the WordPress Gutenberg, because it's a real pain in the neck every time you open something in WordPress with Gutenberg, and all the things you set up are starting all over again every time you make a post. You get that same bloody window. Hey, let me show you around. No, thank you. You just wasted 10 seconds of my time.
Hey, Hudson, good to see you.
People don't realize that, every 10 seconds that's wasted on the internet adds up to minutes and hours over the course of a week and a month.
Yeah, I've been finding it kind of irritating too. It's like, no, I don't want to have you show me around. Go away.
I already know my way around. Thank you very much. I learned it the first time you showed it to me. I'm all good now. That'd be like going into your house and having the butler show you where everything's at every time you come in the house.
Yep. All right, and I've got a couple more things here. Exploits created for a critical F5 Big IP flaw. Install patch immediately. So for people out there who use F5 Big IP, you're going to want to patch immediately.
The fuck is F5 Big IP?
Pardon?
So what the fuck is F5 Big IP?
So far as I understand, it is a network, I didn't fully understand, but when I looked up F5 Big IP, it seems to be pretty popular. So
it says it's used in the enterprise network. In the enterprise,
yeah.
In networks.
I just wanted to bring this forward. If any of our listeners do use F5 Big IP, it seems to be a popular thing. So the issue here is it affects the Big IP iControl REST authentication component, allowing remote users to bypass authentication, execute commands on the device with elevated privileges. So, Just want to bring this one forward and let anyone know. And the last thing is kind of a fun thing. Deep fakes. Think they can't fool you? Think again.
Oh, they can. They're getting better and better.
I still get a bit of an uncanny valley feel to deepfakes when I see them, but I am questioning whether or not that uncanny valley feeling I'm getting is just because it's online. Because if it's for me, if it's like 3D, I get the uncanny valley feeling. So,
What's an uncanny valley feel?
the uncanny valley is when something is so close to being realistic or so close to human that it looks totally real, but it feels wrong. It's like when you look at a picture of a realistic person, but it has absolutely perfectly asymmetrical features, it makes you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Or realistic doll, that's called the uncanny valley.
Oh, okay.
It's something that we've developed as a species, I guess, for protection.
I need that. I need that the more you know jingle. I'm gonna have to steal that one. All right. That was actually.
Yeah, because there's a printer and it hurts. Sorry.
Oh, that's your cat. All right. Well, that covers up the news. There's all kinds of extras here for you folks. Go check them out. Lots of other stuff. And we need to recognize those who support this show.
It's time to donate to
Sorry.
WP
Oh, wait. Sorry.
That was it was so well timed in the jingle when you said that, because you're going, go away, just as it's time to donate. It's like, no, that's not how you're supposed to encourage people to donate to the show. You're not supposed to tell them to go away when we're asking them to donate.
Oh, just the sharp creatures that are tweaking out over printers and knocking everything down.
All right.
Okay.
Anyway, take it away.
This show won't work without you, the producers. This is a value for value kind of show. If you find value in our show, toss some value back. Help keep the show going so we can keep on plugging for you. Show producers, this is where we like to take the time to thank everyone who supports the show. This week's show artwork is by Greg's Graphics.
Absolutely.
This is actually a pretty awesome picture, although I have to say it made me think of a mixture of high school and being a builder designer, which I can't remember the name of them right now. Architect. Made me think of being an architect and a high school day. But I kind of think architect is the right picture there, because
architects are the ones that tend to use the protractors.
Yep. But then again, artists are the ones who use the books like that more often. So it's a nice mixture there. It gets you thinking about all kinds of different things. And all of them kind of work.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of cool. It's kind of neat. All I could think of, creative. Well, be creative this week. Why not?
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. We greatly appreciate you providing us all this lovely artwork to keep us going. Keeps me away from having to create it, and people don't want me creating art. I'm okay at it, but I'm not that good.
Yeah. This week.
Hello.
If anybody's interested in sending in artwork, they can send it in to us at wpplugins.com/showart. Or artwork, /artwork. You can also check out all the other artwork we have there by going into wpplugins.com/showart-submitted.
You could just say show art, it'll still show up. If they typed in show art, it hits the right page.
Cool.
There's lots of shortcodes in the website that just take people to where they need to be.
Good to know. Show executive producers up on the stage this week. Unfortunately, we don't have anybody. Maybe next week, though. Executive producers are the ones coming in with $50 or more in donations. You can also send along a note that will be read out live on the show. You can just say hi, or you can send in your elevator speech and get a little self-promotion while donating to a good cause. Backroom producers hanging out in the lounge this week. We have a lot of backroom producers, and they play a big part in keeping the show going. Some of these producers are the anonymous benefactors coming in with donations under 50. Our best known backroom producers are those who help us out with our contests, artwork, and site organization, like Greg's Graphics here. Some of our backroom producers help out the show by sending us in notes, questions, plugin suggestions, and plugin reviews. Others help out the show by sending in licenses for the contests. Our least visible backroom producers help out the show by hiring us. This is as good as donating. Plus, we get the added bonus of more experience to bring to our listeners here on the show. A big thank you to all the producers out there. We could not do the show without you. You can support the show with your time, talent, or treasure. For time support, you can subscribe to our newsletter, spread the word about WP plugins A to Z through your socials on YouTube, wherever you find yourself. You can catch us live on our YouTube channel every Thursday at 11 a.m. You can send us in articles, news, or general WordPress information that can be shared either here on the show or on the WordPress plugins A to Z site. You can also send us in plugin suggestions or reviews for the show. This can be a plugin you love or hate, or if you own it, you can write up something for it, or you can just send in a recommendation for a plugin you would like us to review. See any random tasks that need doing, send us an email and we'll talk about what can be done. Talent support. So far, we have artwork that is submitted to us into our art generator at wpplugins.com/artwork. If anybody sees another place where their talent could be used, feel free to send us an email. We'll be happy to talk about it. Treasure support. Donations to the show. Over $50 will earn you an executive producership, and under 50, you'll be joining the backroom producers in the lounge. You can find us on Patreon, and if there's something we haven't listed here, shoot us an email, let us know. And if you want to send something in to us through snail mail, we have the address here. We have the address here in the show notes.
Alrighty. Well, let's go dive into the depths of plugin depravity and what everyone shows up here to the show for. Oh. Suddenly it quit working. That's not good.
You realize I can't hear it and it's sad.
There we go. All right. Into the depths of plugin depravity. All right. We do like to cover ClassicPress news and information and plugins, etc. when we have them, but right now we don't have anything here. Sooner or later, I will spend some time in ClassicPress again and get some more information up to date. But at the moment, nothing. So if you're a ClassicPress user, know someone that is, hey, send them our way. We'll get their information out here and get them a little bit of publicity to help their show out. Help their CMS system out. But we do have WordPress plugins. And the first one I've got for you right off the bat is called WordPress Plugins Compare Differences. Now, this one here is kind of a really nice one, and it's got to use, at first I wasn't certain exactly what to use it for, because what it does, it allows you to compare the plugins on two different websites. You put this plugin on both websites and then they connect together, and then it produces you a list of which plugins are on which website and active and their version, etc. And they made mention one of the good uses for it is if you're doing developing, off-site developing, such as you do local development on your computer and then you push it up to a live site somewhere, it's always good to know if your plugins are still matching on the two websites. If you haven't been paying attention or somebody's been updating the live site and you haven't been, all kinds of things. And you want to make sure that all the plugins are still matching exactly. You can do this quick check beforehand. You know, it produces a list to show you which plugins are on site A, which plugins are on site B, which ones are the same, which ones are out of date, which ones are not installed on the other site, etc. Very useful tool that can help you out with your development, or if you're just keeping two sites synchronized with the same plugins. Who knows? At any rate, really great plugin. I would go check this one out. If you're doing development, it is the WordPress Plugins Compare Differences, and I give it a 4-dragon rating.
That actually sounds like it could be very useful. First one I have is no bot registration. This is a CAPTCHA built to capture those really irritating bots that keep clawing at your registration forms, commerce checkout forms, your comment forms by allowing you to create your own entirely personalized questions and answers. You can create 2 questions with as many possible answers as you want. You will find the settings for this under Tools on your left-hand menu. Just a quick note, AJDG Solutions also makes ClassicPress plugins for those who are interested.
Cool.
In this plugin, you can also personalize your notification messages for users failing security tests, as well as a notification message that your email has been banned from registration. I couldn't help it. When I was playing with it, I totally made my registration ban message about how they are banned due to their allegiance to the One Ring. I added, "You shall not pass." Loads of fun. Anything you can turn to total fun is absolutely worth having. It works really well. It seems to play nice with others. I rate this at 5 dragons.
Very cool. Oops. We had a crash. There it is. There's the dragon. All right. Next one I have for you here is called Optimizer Shortcodes Phone Number. Now, this plugin here is a very basic plugin, straightforward. What it's for is you install a plugin, then you go enter your phone number in the install on it, and you use the shortcode anywhere you're going to use your business phone number or a phone number on your website, which could change sometime down the road. Now, when that happens, and I've seen it happen on websites, a phone number is used on multiple pages, contact page, this page, that page, wherever. You have to go find all those spots and change it. If you've built it using this plugin, all you got to do is go change the phone number in the plugin itself, and it changes it everywhere else across the website. Pretty simple, straightforward. Could be a time saver way down the road for you. Maybe not immediately, but down the road, it could be a massive time saver and a headache saver. Go check it out. It's Optimizer Shortcodes Phone Number, and I give it a 4 dragon rating.
Cool. That would be useful. Next one I have is Captionew, admin login page protection with Google Recaptcha. See, I didn't actually make up the Captionew. It's actually the name. This is a fairly lightweight plugin made to help keep the bots in the dark for admin logins. Just for the administration logins. Once activated, you go to the left-hand menu options area, choose whether or not the plugin is active, then you are able to choose between 3 layouts. I personally like the first one. It's a which picture does not belong option, though there's also a swipe bar and a check mark that states I am not a robot. Totally free, works well, and does seem to play nice with others. Great if you're looking for an easy peasy, simple and lightweight CAPTCHA for just your admin login page. I rate this at 4 dragons.
Very cool. Okay, and the final one I have for you out today is called User Notes. Now, this one here just made me think of, when you've got 2 or 3 administrators on the website, and you just basically want to have flame wars with each other and not have anyone else see them. That's one good use for it. The other good use for it is if you've got a membership site or a site with multiple users or something, and you want to make comments or notes about a specific user, such as this specific user always calls in with this exact same problem and just can't get their brain on straight for the next administrator who has to deal with them. All right, that's pushing it. Nah, if you've ever dealt with people and stuff, you know that that's not too far from the truth. But you can make useful notes so that people understand, this user here has this specific problem, or their website does this, or their browsers do this, or just, notes that help down the road for other administrators on the website to deal with the users. Or, of course, making flame wars with other users in there. I do like their thing here. Date John Doe was a major pain in the eraser today. Refunded John Doe. So anyway, a great little plugin, something that could be useful if you have multiple administrators and lots of different users. It's called User Notes, and I give it a 5 dragon rating. And we're still not working over here for some reason. There, works there. Okay, your turn.
Okay. I'm trying not to step all over the things, although I've done it twice so far.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you can't hear the jingles. No, for some reason, my jingle machine over on my iPad's not working. It keeps crashing.
I can actually see a lot of uses for this. It's similar to the plugin notes that I use in our sandbox site, where I put a note under the plugins I want to leave or whether I need help or something. Mm-hmm. This would be more useful though, because you can have it right there.
Yeah.
Last one I have for today is Friendly Captcha for WordPress. This is another Captcha that I thought would be a simple plugin, though in order to use it for free, you need to sign up with friendlycaptcha.com, make an account, get your API key and your site key, and add those in. After that, it's pretty easy to use. The free version gives you one site with up to 1,000 requests a month. So if you have more than 1,000 users a month, the free version won't work for you. Also, it charges in, I think, euros, so be aware of that when you're looking at the price. After you do the sign in everything, and you are able to enable the Captcha, you can enable it for WP Forms, Contact Form 7, Gravity Forms, WordPress Login. Like, the list is just huge. There's a lot of options. I'm actually rather impressed by the amount that you can enable it for. Yeah, see, there's a list right there. There is no personalization at all, though. Not in layout options or anything. Kind of sucks. Everyone loves choice after all, but it does work well from what I was able to test on it. It seemed to play nice with others. Didn't cause any issues on my site when I tested it out. So if you're looking for something like this, it's a good one to go for. I rate it at 4 dragons.
Very cool. All right, and covering up, we still haven't got our contest together. We will have it together soon enough. We're working on it right now, and we will be the first ones to know as soon as we have it. And we need to cover out a couple of things here before we head into the Q&A segment with Amber. First off, plugins I covered in this show was the WordPress plugins compare differences. I gave a 4. The optimizer shortcodes phone number, which I gave a 4 to, and the user notes, which I gave a 5 to.
And I covered no bot registration, which I rated at 5. Captionew admin login page protection with Google Recaptcha, which I rated at 4. And friendly Captcha for WordPress, which I rated at 4.
Very cool. And a meetup is planned for June 25th. It is going to be happening. The official notice will go out next week. But for those that are in a hurry, you can sneak on over to the roguesoasis.com or roguesoasis.com and hit on the events calendar, go to June and register at the site and register yourself for the meetup if you want to get in soon. Other than that, we will have all the official stuff on this site next week. If you want to be interviewed by me, I haven't done an interview in a couple of months now, so I'm all ready to do some more interviews. Simply reach out to me at wpplugins.com/interview, and the interview can be anything WordPress related. You know, you might have a plugin, developing a plugin, want to talk about your WordPress stuff, something you're doing, anything WordPress related. It's got to be. All right, and if you have plugin suggestions or would like us to review specific plugins, they don't even have to be your own. You can just submit them on behalf of somebody else or something you think we should cover, or you want other people to let us know that we can, that you want to let us know of one that we should tell other people about. You can reach out to us, wpplugins.com, submit plugin review. All right, it is time. We need to go on into...
It's question and answer time.
With Amber.
At least that one has a nice little bit that I always know it's over.
Uh-huh.
So before I get started, if anybody out there has any questions they'd like to send in and have asked on the show, send them in to me at amber@wppro.ca. We'll get them up into the show and see if we can stump my dad. First question. I've noticed through my travels of plugins that not a lot of plugin developers really use Facebook, Twitter, or anything else really. Why do you think that is? I thought those things were kind of required in order to get noticed.
Well, they're not really required to get noticed for WordPress plugins. What's required to get noticed is to get yourself into the repository and have a good enough name so that when someone types the right keyword in, it actually shows up in the search results.
Okay.
a lot of developers, I don't know, a lot of them are smarter than we are, and they just stay away from social media. Or they don't want their social media out there because it's really a pain to deal with people on social media sometimes. Especially if they get unhappy users of their plugins. They just don't want to be harassed. That's my guess. I have no idea. I don't know any developers. I know one developer, he does use social media, but other than that, I don't really know a lot of developers personally. I would think they would, because it's it's one of the ways we notify developers when we're reviewing a plugin is we send out a at Facebook and an at Twitter to notify that we're reviewing their plugin. So
yeah, it was kind of sad that No Bad Bots one that I covered.
Mm-hmm.
I was sad. He has a blog, he has a site, he has a WordPress thing, but he has not a single social media thing that I could find.
Yeah, for a while there until WordPress banned me from it, I used to go into the repository and put the reviews and the other information from the show in there. And then they banned me from it. They told me I wasn't allowed to do that because it was promotions. And I'm like, oh, okay, go fuck yourselves. It's a really interesting reason why they got banned. You ever want to read it? I documented the whole thing in a big long article on WP Plugins A to Z. Just look for banned. Just look for banned in WP Plugins A to Z. You can read the whole thing. It went on for 2 weeks, and they finally banned me. And I went, yeah, okay, fine. I got canceled somewhere.
Yep.
So I have been the victim of cancel culture many times over because I just don't shut up sometimes. So
very true.
At any rate, I just think it's because they just don't want to be hassles of it. That's my viewpoint of it.
Does make sense. Okay. My next question is, what did you do in your early days to get noticed?
What I did to get noticed was, one, I published to WordPress plugins or WordPress plugin repository reviewing plugins, but I also used my Twitter feed and my Facebook feed back when they were actually useful. I don't think they're overly useful now. That's the other thing, is they're not overly useful anymore. But the biggest thing I did that got me noticed was I started creating training videos of all the plugins that I used. Because I'm testing these plugins out, and I realized, well, it's not that much harder to just record my screen, save it, and publish it to YouTube. In fact, one of my training videos for a couple of years was adopted by the developer of the plugin as their training video for the plugin on how to use the plugin. They didn't even bother telling me it, but at least I got the credit for it, for creating the training video. In fact, that video is still online because I haven't bothered to take it down. It's so out of date, and I still get emails or comments on YouTube asking me certain things about that plugin. So
that's awesome.
So yeah, that was the biggest thing I did, was creating training videos, and I wrote a lot of articles. I was always writing articles, constantly writing articles and publishing them on the website. You won't find them on WP Plugins. You'll find them all over at johnoverall.com. But I was really big into writing the articles and doing the training videos, and that's what really got me noticed more than anything else. So.
Cool. Last question. Have you ever made a plugin?
All right. We will come back.
There's a couple other things that go with it, though. Have you ever made a plugin? What actually goes into making a plugin? I know it's coding, but is it made out of one single code or multiple codes? And how do you test to see if it's doing what you want?
All right. That is an excellent question. So we will come back to that after we let our girl take us on out of here. So those of you listening on the podcast, you want to hear the answer to this one? Come back to the YouTube channel and watch the end of the show. All right.
Reminders for the show. All show notes can be found at wppluginsa2z.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the newsletter for more useful information delivered directly to your inbox. WP Plugins A to Z is a show that offers honest and unbiased reviews of plugins created by developers because you support the show. Help keep the show honest and unbiased by going to wppluginsa2z.com/donate and set the donation level that fits your budget. Help us make the show better for you by subscribing and reviewing the show at Stitcher Radio, Google Play, and in the iTunes Store. You can also leave us a review on our Facebook page. page using wppluginsA2Z.com/Facebook. You can also watch the show live on YouTube, check out the screencasts and training videos, and remember to subscribe and hit the bell to get notifications of all new videos. Follow the show on Twitter at WPPluginsA2Z. John can also be reached at his website, johnoverall.com, or email him directly, john@wppro.ca. Thanks for joining us, and have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the show. This show is copyright by johnoverall.com. So until next time, have yourselves a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be out there on the globe today. Alrighty, so let's come back to this one here real quick. Have I ever made a plugin? Yes, I've made a few, actually. None that I ever wanted to publish. One that I was going to publish, but I didn't finish it. I really wanted to finish it, but I just didn't have the time to sit down and do it. And what it is I have some freeware. I don't know, there's very few people that remember the days of the internet and freeware. And I have a lot of freeware from those days. And I actually have, what's that?
I think GitHub still has a bunch of freeware.
Freeware and shareware. That's probably where it's at now, but I remember the days when you downloaded it from everywhere and anywhere, and I saved a bunch of them. And I have two pieces of shareware, that I really liked, and I used them and I incorporated them in my website. In fact, one of them is still running on a very old website that I haven't touched in years. And what it is it's a tarot reading. It's an online tarot reading. It uses the standard tarot deck, and you can have a 12-card tarot reading right there on the computer screen, descriptions of the cards and everything. Beautiful freeware. And I was converting it into a plugin to be used in WordPress. Another one I have that I was converting was a full moon one. And again, it was JavaScript plugin or JavaScript code, but it had to be converted for use in WordPress. And neither of those got completed. The plugins that did get completed, those were basically anything you put into your functions file of your WordPress website, any code you put into your functions can be put into a plugin. And creating a plugin, it's pretty straightforward. It has to have a header in it to tell it's a plugin. That's pretty much a single line of code right at the top of the primary page of the plugin. And then you start creating all of your other code pieces that go together to make whatever it is going to function. But if you're creating an all-in-one plugin for certain functions you use regularly on different websites, it's easier to create them as a plugin that you can then drop into the websites you're building as a must-use plugin. And that way you always have that code. It's right there. You don't have to hunt it down. You don't have to remember what you did. But I made several of those over the years because I got tired of putting it all into the functions PHP. And I couldn't even tell you where they're stored in my terabytes of data I have stored on my computers. And I do have terabytes of data. And of course, the time that I created my file structure, it made sense at the time, but when I go back to hunt it down, for some reason I can't find what I'm looking for.
That's because your filing system changes every year in your brain.
It changes with my brain. How do you test to see if the plugin's doing what you're doing? You install it, activate it, see if you break your site. If it doesn't break your site, it works. Then you go check to see if it provides you the function you need. If it provides you the function you need, you did it right. It's that simple.
How do you know what to change if it's not doing what you expect?
That's
like for your tarot card reading. What if it works for like most tarot cards, but then it doesn't work for others?
No, it works for the set that it's designed to work for. It doesn't work for any others. It's designed to use the Rider-Waite deck, and that's it.
No, I mean, what if it's able to pull up like the Fool and the Empress, but it can't pull anything?
Well, then I guess you got to go through your code and figure out where the randomizer's not working correctly. You know, you have to be really good at coding to debug the code and figure out what's wrong with it. So it's a matter of if you're writing code, you have knowledge of writing code, so you have knowledge on how to debug your own code. At least I hope so. If you're writing code, you can't debug your own code. You shouldn't be writing the code. So yeah, that's what it is. But yeah, making plugins it's pretty easy. There's lots of things out there. In fact, if you ever want to know how to make a plugin, the plugin we toss out every time we create a new WordPress website, the Hello Dolly plugin, was actually created to show people the basic layout of how a plugin needs to be built. And it's what a lot of people in the very beginning of it learned how to write plugins from was Hello Dolly. That's how I learned the first time, was dissecting Hello Dolly, reverse engineering Hello Dolly to write plugins.
Cool.
And there's lots of tutorials out there now on how to write plugins. So, you know, writing the plugins, being able to write your own plugins is very useful. And the biggest use for it, of doing your own plugins, is for specific code that you use over and over in the functions file of a site that you're building. So if you happen to be good enough to write an entire plugin that someone can use, you can turn it into a business, such as Yoast did with Yoast SEO, or WooCommerce did. I mean, WooCommerce started as a fork of a I can't remember the name of the shopping plugin that the developers just weren't doing anything with, so somebody forked it and created WooCommerce. And WooCommerce started out in Africa. Started out as an African company.
Hemdian said sometimes you don't need the full functionality of a custom plugin. You can make do with a custom block instead. Much simpler. I use Genesis custom blocks to create a basic skeleton, then upload 2 bits of PHP code, one for how the block should appear on the front end, one for how it should appear in the editor. Easy peasy.
Yeah. Well, see, there's lots of ways to go about doing this. Lots and lots of ways to go about doing it. You know, I haven't started working in blocks yet, so eventually I'll have to. Either that or I'll retire first. I'm not sure which one's going to happen. All right. Well, that pretty much covers it all up. I think we have the end of the show. So we'll call that a show. And thank you, everyone, for showing up. And thank you, everyone, for downloading and listening to the show. Let's have a little music. Carry us on out of here so I can go get my chickens.
These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. A quarter after midnight, and I'm watching the wall. Sometimes I feel so uptight, I just can't sleep at all. Every day doing the same old thing, we're losing time. The weekend comes These are the days of thunder.
Alrighty then, folks. That's all we got for you now. Take care. Bye.